Afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right podcast. This is episode 235. This time, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'd like to, of course, welcome you to the podcast if you've never listened to me before, never hung out with me. This is the type of podcast where sometimes it might sound like I'm standing on top of a soapbox and just preaching. Sometimes it might sound like I really have no idea what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. And sometimes I answer questions. I've been talking a lot about relationships at this point in my life, so I don't know where you've got in. So hopefully you're feeling welcome and you can just listen in. This one is going to be slightly different this episode because I have a lot to say and I put it out in sort of an essay form because I really don't want to miss anything. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully you can appreciate it. I think this is a very important topic, and that's why I kind of didn't want to just be sitting there shooting from the hip, even though I did write out an essay just of my experience and my thoughts, my understandings of this topic. Hopefully you like it. I'm not sure if I'm going to get into the regular format. I do have it here as well, but as I'm going to be reading, and some of you know how that goes with me. I don't know how far. I don't want to drag you past an hour, but I mean, right now you can look at and see how long it is. I have no idea how long this is going to take. So anyway, here I go. The question: why is it so hard to tell the truth at the beginning, at the start of a relationship? The question of truth in the new relationship. Why is it so hard to tell the truth at the beginning of a relationship? It's a question I've asked myself, and perhaps you've asked yourself that too. In those early stages of dating or courtship, when honesty is arguably and probably the most crucial, even though some would say that it's always crucial and it's always important. Many of us struggle to be fully transparent. Some people feel that they should just hold back whatever they can until they feel comfortable, and they don't see anything wrong in that. We hold back facts about our past, we gloss over our flaws, or we pretend to like things we don't. Ironically, this is the time when setting a foundation of truth would save us so much future heartache. But for some reason, we can't see that far. Yet, we often shy away from it. What drives this impulse to hide our true selves? And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, and you probably know what your hang-up is. Right when openness could benefit most of us, and us most. As I've reflected on my own experiences and studied others, a common theme emerges: fear and self-worth. The lower our self-worth, our higher our desperation, the more tempting it is to bend the truth. In contrast, when we're secure in our own values, honesty comes much more natural. Just a thought, y'all. I just wanted to say, because I don't want to just continue. As you can tell, this is a live person, and I can honestly tell you, just cutting in here for a second, it's nice to get information from AI and to hear like people's likeness of their voice, I guess, the likeness of their voice, um, tell you things probably copied and pasted from a textbook somewhere or an article or whatever, or extrapolated and words twisted around and stuff to present it differently, maybe to the same audience over and over, just in a different way each time, kind of like a multiple choice test. But I think there's something to be said about a real person behind a microphone reading their own information and giving their opinion along the way. So understand, I'm saying all that to say this, that I will be reading, and this is my work, but at the same time, sometimes I will add in the middle once something clicks more than I've already written already. So hopefully this is already ringing true for you. And I'm asking you, please, 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 if you like this episode, if you like my podcast, if you like me, I'm just asking you, please, can you go to Apple or wherever you're listening to this thing and just rate the podcast so more people can hear it if you think that the information that I'm giving is useful. Now, of course, you know that the information in the podcast, the episodes, are all for entertainment purposes only. I do not profess to be a professor of anything except a professing Christian. So I just try to let you know that that's the vein I come from when I generally speak. I'm not saying I'm against science. I'm not against experience, reading, or novelists, or psychology, sociology, or any of those ologies. I just I just want you to know where I come from, where I stand on everything. If sometimes it sounds like I veer off to one side or the other side, and it's just I'm not perfect at doing this, even after 200 or 235 now. And sometimes I get excited and I read too fast, as you will probably be able to tell sometimes. But I just wanted to say that. Anyhow, back to a regular scheduled program. All right. Desperation versus the confidence of self-worth. In many cases, how desperate we feel for love over approval will determine how much truth we're willing to tell. When someone is extremely eager not to mess up a new relationship, they might hide aspects of themselves, fearing that the truth will scare the other person away, possibly because of something that they told them already, because maybe they beat them to the punch. This often stems from a place of low self-esteem or past hurt. Psychology tells us that low self-esteem is toxic for dating. It pushes people to seek validation at all costs and even to shapeshift into whatever they think the other person wants. Like a chameleon, like camouflage. In other words, if I'm deeply insecure, I might lie about or downplay parts of myself so that you'll like me. I'll laugh at jokes I don't even find funny, agree with opinions I actually disagree with, maybe even pretend to have hobbies I have zero interest in, all in an effort to seem more attractive or more compatible. This chameleon act is a hallmark of desperation. And while it might temporarily win someone's approval, it sets up a false persona that I then have to try to remember and also live up to. Because you don't have to remember real things. It's the lies you have to remember. By contrast, if I have a healthy confidence in my own self-worth, I won't feel the need to lie. Having self-worth doesn't mean arrogance, doesn't mean being a jerk, doesn't mean being stuck up or thinking I'm above anyone else. It simply means recognizing that I have value equal to any other person. With that mindset, I approach a new relationship knowing that if I'm truthful and the other person walks away, it's okay. It just means we weren't the right fit. That's all. I don't have to beg or perform for love. In fact, mental health experts note that low self esteem often leads people to accept poor treatment in relationships because they don't believe they deserve better. I have lived that reality myself. In times when I felt worthless, I put up with far too much and I kept parts of me hidden, thinking I had to do so to keep someone around. It never led to lasting happiness though, only to lose myself and eventually you lose them too. When you believe I bring something valuable to the table, you are freed up to be honest. And you have to remember that you bring something to the table. You might not bring as much as the next person or the person you're sitting in front of at that table, but you do bring something. You trust that the right person will appreciate you as you are. I think of that song by Nirvana. It's come where he starts and he says, "Come as you are." Anyhow, and you're not obligated to deceive anyone to earn basic respect. I mean, everybody deserves basic respect. Famed psychologist Jordan Peterson has a rule. He says, "Tell the truth, or at least don't lie." He argues that lying, even with good intentions, only weakens us in our relationships, whereas choosing honesty opens the door to a more meaningful life. In my own life, I've found that to be painfully true. Every lie I told out of desperation ultimately led to more insecurity and not less. Every truth I've dared to share, even when I was afraid or ashamed, ultimately made me stronger or clarified who was truly meant to be in my life. When low self-esteem, low self-worth is learned, or when it is learned, I should say, you might wonder, why do so many of us struggle with low self-worth to begin with? Often it's because of life and because of what life has taught us in one way or another that we aren't worth much. Perhaps we grew up with neglectful or critical family members or friends at school, or we went through relationships where we were mistreated, cheated on, or quickly replaced. Over time, these experiences send a cruel message. You are replaceable. You are not that special to anyone. I know this feeling deeply. Looking back, I realized I was one of those people who felt essentially worthless for a long time at different times. No one ever came out and literally said it. You're worthless. Might have said, "Hey, are you stupid?" But maybe if they had, I would have been provoked to fight back and prove otherwise. Instead, it just gnaws at you a little bit, just taking a little piece of you each time. Instead, the lesson sank in through subtle cuts and disappointment. I internalized it, of course. I think that's what we do. The idea that I was easily replaceable, I carried that belief unconsciously into each new relationship. The result? I entered relationships already on the back foot, assuming I had to conceal my undesirable side, or compensate to be loved at all. I settled for less than I deserved. I tolerated behaviors that hurt me. Worst of all, I wasn't honest about my own needs and feelings. And the problem is when you do that, they don't get met. They don't get cared for. I didn't think I had the right to be. Now, after years have passed and I've gone through failed relationships, marriage, raising children, and all the joy and pain that come with it in those chapters, I've clearly come to a proper perspective on all this. I can see that many of the problems in those relationships, even the ones that weren't my fault, were intertwined with my lack of self-value and honesty from the very start. If I had valued myself more and spoken up truthfully about who I was and what I wanted, some relationships might have begun or never begun, but maybe got off on a better foot, right? And those that did would have been on firmer footing. This isn't a hindsight bias. It's a real pattern I've pinpointed. Research backs this up. People with healthier self-esteem and authenticity tend to form better long-term relationships than those who shapeshift to please others. In other words, being yourself from the get-go isn't just a moral idealism. It's practical advice for finding a compatible partner. And that's what you want, a compatible partner. You still all want and need what you want, and you need what you need, and you want to have what you want to have. And you might have to wait. The reality is, right? Hiding our true selves and missing the true connection. The tragedy is that so many of us hide the truth of who we are just to get through the early stages of dating. Figure you could probably just peel it out, like an onion, all the truth, one layer at a time. Maybe the person won't cry so much and still stick around. We're like onions, Shrek said. We hide what we've done in the past, what we truly want from the future, what we believe in, what we're ashamed of, what we're proud of, all of it. We wear masks. We present an edited, curated version of ourselves, much like a social media profile, to potential partners. On the surface, this seems to make dating easier, but underneath, it's undermining any real connection. As one relationship writer put it, when we try to present an idealized version of ourselves to others, we create a facade that hinders genuine connection. You might win someone's affection with the facade, of course, but who do they actually love? It's not you, just the character you're playing, the one that you presented. Think about it. There are billions of people on this planet. Realistically, you will only meet a tiny fraction of them in your whole lifetime. But that fraction is still a large enough number that they could be dozens of highly compatible friends or partners for you. The catch is, you'll only recognize and be recognized by those truly compatible people if you are presenting your authentic self. If you're hiding your true self, you might sit next to a soulmate and they'd never know it because you're busy pretending to be someone else. Think about it. Meanwhile, you could end up matched with someone who likes your mask, not the real you. And then you both suffer when the truth eventually comes out and your mask falls off when you're not paying attention. Psychologists have found that authenticity in a partner is strongly linked to higher trust, satisfaction, and commitment in relationships. In other words, people deeply value and respond to a partner who is real with them. We think we have to hide to be loved, but research and experience shows the opposite. Being authentic is the only way to truly be loved and the only way to actually love. I often use this analogy. Many of us settle in relationships not just by settling for partners who aren't right for us, but by settling for a life of lies and half truths, white lies included within ourselves. We become cowards in a way, tucking the inconvenient truths about ourselves into our back pocket. Why? For a bit of clout, to seem cooler or more successful than we are, for a bit of pleasure, to avoid uncomfortable conversations or conflict, or for a bit of status, to appear more attractive or acceptable. But any relationship built on such deceit can't rightly be called love. Not yet. Even if the other person adores you, they're adoring a mirage. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, as the old saying goes. The people who truly matter in your life will not require you to wear a mask to be worthy of love. And the ones who would walk away upon seeing your true face, well, they don't matter in the long term. This idea echoes what sociologist Brené Brown calls true belonging. She explains that true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect self to the world. Belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. In her research, Brown found that when we trade our authenticity for social approval, a false sense of belonging, we end up feeling even more alone and unknown because they don't know you. The cure is to be who we are unapologetically. Not to be rude, but to be ourselves. Not to be brash, but to be ourselves. Not to be outlandish, just to be ourselves. And trust that the right people will find us. Yes, you're right, it's a risk. Some will reject us, of course, but those who remain will truly know us. And don't you want to be known? Don't you want to be understood? Don't you want to be seen? That's what everybody says, right? They want to be seen. He sees me. He can't see you if he doesn't know you. And there's no substitute for that feeling of being accepted as you are. It's kind of like, I talked to this person and they wanted to explain to their friend about a situation they were in. And at the same time, while trying to explain about 70% of the truth, they were asking for advice from a lot of people. And I was saying, how can you tell somebody 70% of a story so they can help you on what to do in that story and they don't know the full truth? I hope, if you're listening, you understand what I'm saying. It's like, even if the person was the most nice, beautiful, loving person, honesty and everything, they couldn't possibly help you because they don't know the whole story. So if you're going to lie, you might as well just suss it out yourself because nobody's going to be able to help you. And then these other people who tried to help you in your situation are going to be, well, it's good that you left that guy, or it's good that you left that girl because they weren't this and they weren't that. Luckily, you didn't get into anything too far or too deep. Meanwhile, they don't know the full story, right? To put it simply, hiding yourself may protect you from a few rejections, but it will also block deep connections that you crave, and you do. If you lie about your core beliefs, for example, you might hold on to a partner longer. That's probably true. But you'll never experience the relief and bonding that comes from being seen and loved in your truth. It's better to face a brief rejection for who you are than to live a long life accepted for who you're not, because you're not accepted. As one psychologist said in an article, I think it was Psychology Today, authentic love removes barriers between people and creates a safe space where both partners feel valued for who they are. That's the kind of love worth pursuing, even if the road to it is paved with a few hard goodbyes along the way. The fear factor. Why we choose the easy lie. Underneath nearly all this hiding and lying is one powerful emotion: fear. We're afraid of so many things in those vulnerable moments when a relationship begins. To name a few common fears: fear of not being accepted. We worry that if we reveal something unimpressive or unattractive about ourselves, the other person will judge us or leave. This could be anything from a strange hobby to a health condition or a family secret. Fear of rejection or abandonment is a big one for a lot of people. This is the straightforward terror that the person we like might outright reject us if they knew the whole truth about our past mistakes, our insecurities, our quirks, those idiosyncrasies. Fear of being alone. Some of us have been lonely for a long time. And when we finally meet someone, we're so scared of returning to that loneliness. It's kind of like when a rich person is afraid of being poor ever again. So they do anything and everything to keep that money. So we'll do anything to make this relationship work, including pretending to be someone we're not. The lie feels like a small price to pay to avoid being alone, because loneliness is a horrible space. And many people don't and can't stand it. Fear of losing the one we want. We might fixate, what's that word they call it? What was it? Limerence. I heard somebody talk about this. It was interesting. But yeah, we might fixate on a particular person as the one we desperately want in fear that total honesty will cost us this person. So we think a few lies or omissions will help us secure this prized relationship person. Of course, if that relationship is built on lies, it isn't the prize we imagine. But fear isn't always rational, is it? Most of the time it isn't. Almost all of us who have gone through a failed relationship can, if we really are honest, pinpoint moments where fear-driven honesty played a role in the downfall. It might have been a lie we told or an important truth we withheld. because we were afraid of the consequences. Maybe we lied to our partner, or maybe we lied to ourselves. I'm fine with how things are when we really weren't. Why was that a tongue twister? Oh, it was four W's. That's funny. When we really weren't. These little dishonesties compound over time. Eventually, the truth tends to surface anyway. And when it comes out, it brings turmoil and problems. Fear and love are like oil and, you guessed it, water. In many ways, if a relationship is dominated by fear, genuine love struggles to flourish. A famous biblical principle states that there is no fear in love. Perfect love drives out fear. That doesn't mean we'll never feel afraid in love. We're human after all. We're revealing who we are. And for some of us, that's really, really, really close to the heart. But it means that love, to be whole and healthy, requires an environment of trust where we don't live in constant fear of being ourselves. If I'm afraid that telling you the truth will make you stop loving me, then even if you do love me, I can't fully feel secure in that because I know it's not really me you love, just, again, the image I've given you. Living in that state of anxiety is miserable. I know many of us try to fool ourselves, but you know deep down you're miserable because you're not able to just say, hey, I don't like that. Or, hey, can I have that? Or, hey, can we do that? Or, hey, can we go there? Or, hey, I got this spot on my arm or something. It's far better to shine a light on who you really are and see if the other person that love stays. If it does, it will be much deeper, more comfortable, more comforting love because you know it's grounded in truth. If it doesn't, then that love was not truly yours to begin with. They were in love with fiction. Addressing these fears is not easy, but it's liberating. It requires that horrible V word, vulnerability, which is scary by definition. To be vulnerable is to take off the armor and say, this is me with all my warts and wounds. I hope it's enough for you. It takes courage, but it's the only way to achieve real intimacy, as, of course, Brené famously said. Staying vulnerable is a risk we have to take if we want to experience connection. It might feel safer in the moment to lie or hide because you avoid an awkward conversation or potential rejection today. But that safety is an illusion. You pay for it later with disconnection, resentment, regret. On the other hand, telling the truth might feel risky today, but it lays the groundwork for long-term security and closeness. And just think about all the people who've, not to say that you reject your kids or you're sad you had them, but many, 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 many people were born in this world under false pretenses. And then they ended up having one parent or no parents. Just think about it. Even Jordan Peterson, in his direct and no-nonsense style, points out that confronting what we fear, including the fear of speaking the truth, is what makes us actually stronger. He notes that courage and truth are redemptive. in the long run, anyway. Every time you tell the truth in the face of fear, you not only improve your relationship, you also train yourself to be braver and more resilient. And if the truth causes a breakup or rejection, you're right, it'll hurt. Yes, but it will also free you. You won't have to live with a lie and you won't have to constantly fear slipping up. What if they find out X about me? The truth, as hard as it can be, sets you free. Free to be loved for who you actually are and free from burden of maintaining a deception. In a very real sense, telling the truth at the start saves you from far greater pain down the road, and other people as well, and their pain. And you just don't know who that will be or how many of those people it will be. Patience, failure, and the slow path to real love. To anyone, especially any younger listeners who feel that being totally honest seems to delay or jeopardize getting into a relationship, I want to offer a perspective. Yes, radical honesty might mean you don't get that fairy tale romance immediately. We live in a culture used to instant gratification, the microwave mentality, where we want the perfect relationship, hot and ready in 2 minutes. But the relationships are not instant ramen. You can't just add hot water and get nourishment and truly satisfying, lasting relationships. They're more like a slow cooked meal. It takes time and it requires enduring some hunger and discomfort while it simmers. If you choose honesty and authenticity, you might watch a few seemingly promising prospects walk away early on. That can hurt, especially if you crave companionship right now. It can also hurt if it happens a few times or many times. But consider what you gain. You avoid months of or years of living a lie with someone who ultimately isn't right for you. As a matter of fact, somebody who's right for you might end up with someone else because you weren't around to claim them. Just think about it. You free both yourself and the other person to find better fits, and you learn from each other of those experiences. Each rejection or heartbreak, unpleasant as it is, can teach you something about yourself and sharpen your character. In the moment, being rejected for who you are feels horrible, feels awful, like a personal indictment of your worth. But in hindsight, many people realize it was a blessing in disguise. It saves them from investing more in a doomed match and open the door to meeting someone who appreciates their true self. Life has a way of seasoning us with unappetizing experience, failures, rejection, embarrassment, periods of loneliness, being overlooked, being laughed at, and so on. These experiences, and painful as they are, prepare us. They build resilience, wisdom, empathy, and patience, all ingredients for a healthy relationship. As scripture wisely puts it, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. In other words, struggle can produce strength and clarity by facing difficulties, like the difficulty of telling the truth and not always getting the outcome you want. You develop the perseverance and character that will serve you in the long run, especially when you don't find the right person. So don't discourage and don't be discouraged if radical honesty doesn't give you a fairy tale romance by next week. You might not meet your person in the current circle of acquaintances, maybe not in your neighborhood or in your school or at your workplace or your usual social haunts. You might have to wait and keep being true to yourself for a while, but trust that somewhere out there, possibly where and when, as they say, you least expect it, there are people who you'll click with, and they'll click with the real you. And trust me, it'll be amazing. It might not be a dime a dozen. Genuine compatibility is rare and special, so there might not be that much. It's not going to be everybody around the corner. But it could be the next person around the corner if you dare to be real, right? Yet, with over 8 billion humans on Earth, the odds are decent that there are at least a few who would love you exactly as you are, quirks and all. Your task is to stay patient, stay authentic long enough for those people to find you or for you to find them. And at the same time, be careful who you reject for those you know who aren't right for you. I often say, better to be single for the right reasons than attached for the wrong ones. A microwave relationship that tastes great for a short time because you're served up carefully packed false self will eventually turn cold and leave you unsatisfied and possibly sick. In contrast, a relationship that is allowed to simmer, built slowly on truth, tested by a bit of hardship, seasoned with patience, will be far more nourishing when you finally bond with someone over your genuine selves. It's a rich, hearty connection that can carry you through life's storms. That person will know your baggage and you'll know theirs. Having accepted each other's truths, you can support each other without fear of one day they'll discover the real me and leave anyway. Honesty in big things and small things. There's no such things as white lies, guys. Only lies. When we talk about telling the truth in relationship, it's not just the obvious big ticket items like your job, your income, your past relationships, or whether you have kids. It's everything, all the little details that make you you. We humans are astonishingly good at finding things to be insecure about. We might be upfront about our life story, but still hiding discomfort about your appearance. Or you might be okay discussing your physical traits, but terrified to share your religious beliefs or your personal dreams. But true authenticity doesn't cherry pick. It means being honest about all facts of yourself: the external, the internal, the past, the present. Here are just some of the things people commonly hide or lie about at the start of relationships. Hope you're liking this, y'all. We're at 44 minutes here. Wow. Personal history. This includes past relationships, e.g., not mentioning an ex or a divorce, children from previous relationships, or mistakes you've made, financial troubles, run ins with the law. We fear that these backstories sometimes sometimes we'll have kids from more more than one partner and just try to all meld them into one and totally erase somebody at the beginning. I've seen that before. We fear that those backstories, elements will make someone judge us and walk away, right? But they are a part of who we are. If a partner can't handle the fact that you once went through a divorce or that you struggled with something, better to know that now than later, where they can hold it over your head that you lied about it. It's going to be just as bad, if not worse. Well, it's going to be worse, actually. Intentions and desires. Sometimes people hide what they really want out of fear of scaring someone off. For example, pretending to be okay with a casual fling when you actually want a serious commitment, or vice versa. Or not admitting you eventually want kids because you're afraid the other person doesn't. Being clear about your goals and values up front prevent painful misunderstandings down the line. Beliefs and values. You might downplay your cultural background, religious faith, or ethical convictions to avoid conflict. Perhaps you laugh off rude jokes you actually find offensive and disgusting, or you keep quiet about your faith because you're not sure your date will understand. Maybe they swear a lot and you can't stand swearing. Maybe you swear a lot and you're trying to get yourself out of the practice, but you're only not swearing around them. Eventually, an F-bomb's going to flow right in front of them. Maybe in your sleep. Think about that. Remember, if a core value of yours is a deal breaker for them, it will surface eventually. Hiding it only postpones the inevitable. And you deserve someone who respects your true beliefs and vice versa. Physical appearance or habits. This can range from the trivial to the serious. Maybe you're wearing cosmetic enhancements, fake nails, toupee, heavy makeup, and dread the moment your partner sees the real you in sweats and messy hair. Or you might be insecure about your weight or your height and use old edited photos or new edited photos on your profile. Some people even lie about their health issues, persistent bad breath, halitosis, who knows, a skin condition, a medication they take. It might feel like, well, if we get closer, I'll find a way to reveal it later. But imagine the breach of trust when later comes, guys. Finding out that someone hid a significant aspect, even something as small as wearing colored contacts to fake your eye color, can make a partner wonder, what else are they willing to lie about? What else are you hiding? And for those of you who remember the old show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Will got locked up in the attic or whatever it is with that girl, and she started to pull off all the nails and pulled off the wig, pulled off the eyelashes, and then he's like, what else? It's fake. I remember that. That was a good funny lesson, but it was real. The truth has a funny way of coming out. You can only keep up a charade for so long, a facade, especially in an intimate relationship. Obviously, it's far better to let the truth out early or your own on your own terms than to have it explode unexpectedly later. As Proverbs says, no more lying than each of you must tell the truth to the other. Honesty truly is the best policy here. If you're worried someone will be disgusted or turned off by something about you, consider that it will be 10 times worse if they discover it after there's already feelings thrown in there. For instance, if you conceal a health issue and they find out months later, they won't just have to deal with the issue, they'll also have to grapple with the fact that you didn't trust them enough to tell them in the first place. On the flip side, you might be surprised how minor some of your worries actually are, the ones that are causing you so much stress. For the right person, of course. On the flip side, on the flip side, I've known couples who were partners. I've known couples where one partner was self-conscious about something, say a scar or a weird hobby, and when they finally confessed it, the other person just shrugged and said, "Is that all? I don't care about that. I care about you." Those moments are incredibly affirming. They bring you closer because you've just proved, you just have, or just seen proof that the person accepts even the parts of me I struggle to accept myself. But you only get to enjoy that kind of unconditional acceptance if you risk telling the truth. I'm not suggesting you unload every single detail of your life on the first date in a tactical info dump. There's a place for discretion and timing, of course. What I'm saying is, do not lie and do not intentionally mislead about things that will matter if the relationship progresses. Be authentic in what you present. If a question comes up, answer it honestly. Age, income, education, whether you're seeing others. If something is important to you, don't hide it out of fear. Essentially, be transparent. This builds trust from day one, and trust is the foundation upon which everything else, love, intimacy, respect, is built. The Bible's guidance is fitting. Put away falsehoods. Let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor. In a relationship, your partner is as close a neighbor as it gets. They deserve the truth from you, and you deserve the truth from them. Yes, being open can make you feel anxious and exposed. You might think, what will they say? What will they think of me? Will they laugh, judge, or leave? Here's the reality. Some might. Not everyone you date will appreciate your full truth. But those people were never going to be good match for you anyways. The ones who are right for you will hear the truth and say, "Thank you for sharing. I'm still here." Those are the keepers. Every time someone can't handle your job, anytime someone can't handle your truth and exits, it's not a sign that you should have lied. It's proof that your honesty is doing its job. There you go. Filtering out the people who don't fit in your life. It might hurt in the short run, but it saves you greater pain later. The freedom and reward of living in truth. At the end of the day, living in honesty, or living honestly in relationships, is about respecting yourself and your partner enough to give them the real you. It's about refusing to live in chains of what if they find out, anxiety. When you embrace truth, you might not be liked by everyone, but you will be loved authentically by a few who matter. Those who don't appreciate the real you will fall away. That's just how it is. And that's okay. You don't need a large crowd of superficial admirers. You need only those select few who see you and value you. Life is too short to waste it on relationships where you have to wear a mask. I encourage you to have the patience, the courage to let go of any relationship that is predicted, or predicated, I should say, predicated on falsehoods. If your gut knows this isn't right, either because you're not being honest or they aren't accepting of your honesty, be willing to step back. It's better to pause or walk away than to entangle two lives in a web of deceit. Yes, it takes courage to walk away, especially when you feel and you fear loneliness is on its way, coming for you again. But remember the trade off. Keeping a relationship by lying is a path to a very specific kind of loneliness, the loneliness of being unknown even by the person next to you. Sorry, guys. Had to move something. It's longer than I anticipated. Almost finished, though. Living in truth is not always easy, but it is fundamentally easier on the soul. When you tell the truth, you don't have to keep track of your lies. You don't have to constantly strategize or remember which version of yourself you showed to that person. You can relax and just be. The only problem you'll have is maybe remembering, but that'll be natural, not remembering stories. There's a profound freedom in that. In the world of scripture, the truth will set you free. And indeed, when you commit to truth, you experience a lightness, a self respect that no successful deception could ever give you. One more beautiful thing happens when you're honest from the start. The love you eventually find, and you will, if you preserve or persevere, it's wonderfully real. There's no nagging doubt in the back of your mind, no imposter syndrome whispering, if they only knew X about me, they'd leave. You put all the cards on the table and they choose you with eyes wide open. That kind of love is solid. It can weather storms because it's built on reality. It's like construction, a house on a rock versus sand. Truth is on the rock, lies are on shifting sand. A relationship built on truth can stand firm when life's winds blow because both people in it know who they are and who they're dealing with, and they've decided to accept each other wholly. So, to answer the question we began with, why is it so hard to tell the truth at the beginning of a relationship? It comes down to fear and mistakes, or mistaken beliefs that lies will serve us better in the long run, which it definitely won't. But now we see that those fears, however natural, lead us astray. Telling the truth up front might be hard now, but it spares you great hardship later and guides you to the right relationships. Telling the truth is a form of self-respect and respecting others. It's saying, I believe I am worth being known and I believe you can handle knowing me. It's also a filter that protects you, and anyone who cannot handle your truth is not someone you want to build a life with anyway. In closing, I invite you to consider living by the principle in dating and beyond. Be who you are, fully and fearless. Don't lose a single part of yourself to appease someone else's expectations or even what you think their expectations are. As the saying goes, often attributed to Dr. Seuss, but actually from Bernard Baruch. Is that Baruch? Yeah. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. The people worth having in your life will love the real you. And you are worthy of that genuine love. So speak the truth about where you've been and who you are, your joys, your sorrows, your mistakes, your quirky habits, your dreams, your faith, your flaws. Speak the truth from the beginning. It might not give you a storybook romance overnight, but it paves the road to something far richer, a life and love built on reality, where you can wake up each morning beside someone and know they know me and they choose me and I choose them without a doubt in your heart. In a world full of fakeness, dare to be real. It's harder in the short term, but I promise you it's worth it in the end. Embrace the truth, and you'll embrace the possibility of a relationship that isn't held together by illusions, but by trust and understanding. And that, a partnership between two authentic selves, is the greatest reward. And that's it, y'all. I'm not going to go through my usual because I think I beat this dead horse as much as I could possibly do. And it's right at an hour, at a minute, at an hour. Anyhow, I am MCM, and this is You're Probably Right. Hope to see you next time. Again, please share this episode or any other episode you think might be good to someone else. And take care, and I hope you're here next time. Peace out. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere.